Alright guys, so today we're going to be installing a winch onto my 2012 Jeep Wrangler, and it arrived today. Not a big name brand one. Got this one off of Amazon. I believe it's 9,500 pound tow capacity or pull capacity. I was going to go with 1,300, but I like the visuals on this one better, and that's mainly what I'm going for. Not that's why I didn't go for a big expensive name brand. I'm going more for the visuals. So we're going to do the unboxing first. Alright, so first off, we got our manual, which probably won't do us much good. So we have, looks like a ground cable, some hardware, a hook and some hardware. That probably had to get painted. I wouldn't want that to get all rusty yellow looking on there. I'm quite sure that'll rust after the first rain. And we also have the wired remote control. This is also a wireless one as well, at least if my memory serves me correctly. And that's what you put on there, your hook. Take that out of there. And in here, see what we have. Now we have a cover for it. Cool. And let's see here. I like this one. I've seen some are kind of just silver or metal color. This one is already black, like my bumper, so I like that. The control box there, all the cables to go with, and the remote will plug into there. And we have the winch itself. Let's see what we got here. This is a big boy. There she is. All right. So this is what we will be installing today, and I'll meet you guys out into the garage. All right, everyone. So we do have everything in here, and I did find the two wireless remotes. They came with two of them. Both are the same, which is cool. So I ordered what I thought I ordered. So we do have that. The hookup on here should be pretty straightforward. From what I can tell is you have these three terminal connections over here. They're color coded. You have black, you have yellow, and you have orange, or red, I'm sorry, red. Just like you have here, you have a short black, you have a short red, and you have a short yellow. So those will all connect here, all right? And then you also have, on the control box, you also have this smaller gauge black ground wire. That will work in conjunction with your thicker gauge black wire. So basically you need to be able to ground this one as well as grounding this unit here. So what's going to happen is we'll take a look at the bottom of the unit, and I'm sure you can see that correct. You have a connection underneath there. That's where your heavier gauge black wire ground wire will connect to. So we'll connect here, and you're routed through your engine bay over to your battery to ground, or not necessarily to the battery, or ground it to the someplace on a ground, good ground location on your Jeep. Now for the long red positive side, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, so that goes here and then to the battery. Now for your positive side, it's just going to route all the way through to your battery as well to get power. So this right here goes to your battery, this one goes to your battery, but the other end of this one goes here, as with the same goes with this thinner gauge black ground wire. It would also get connected here as well. So you can have two connections for the ground wires down here, but this one will route to the battery or a good ground source. And so that's basically it. And if we look at this being the passenger side, when it's sitting on your front bumper, this being the passenger side, this being the driver's side, the battery is on the passenger side. So it's good to have the connections on the passenger side. And the box, now again, this represents the front of your Jeep right here. Will rest on there like that and get connected up and secure it down. All your connections will be made here and routed down and out of the way. So that's kind of how that's all going to work out and play out in the end. And so I'm going to meet you guys in the garage and we'll get this puppy hooked up. All right guys, still cold here in Wisconsin, but it's in the upper 30s, so that means it's summertime out here. So today we're going to be installing the like I said in the office, we're going to be installing the winch onto the front of the Jeep. And so here we are right here. There it is. And it's not installed yet, it's just sitting there. Right now, it's just sitting there, on there. So we're going to mount it, and then we're going to run the electricals, okay? Alright, so to do this, we're going to need the hardware, which I have out here. Everything separated. So the 4 bolts we're going to start with are the 4 smaller of the 6. Not the 2 bigger ones. So I have it separated out. That hardware we'll need later. This hardware right now is where we're going to need to mount the actual winch onto the bumper. All right. And this right here, the bolts are a, what was that? Is this a 16? It's a 16. So we got our 16 millimeter out here. And what we're going to do first under here is, you have it on there, just going to remove this right here. You know, just pop out the little retainers on there and pop that down, and that gives access to the back side of the bumper to be able to mount the bolts, because the bolts will be mounted underneath into the unit. As you can see, I didn't remove it completely. I just removed the 2 retainers off of there, here and here, those 2 right there, and then just dropping it down. This is how my setup is. Yours, of course, will be completely different, but that gives me complete access to go underneath to have access to the bolt holes. All right, to start this out, we want to grab some of our hardware from over here. Let me just loosen this up so I can turn it whichever way I need it. So we have the hardware over here, and we're just talking about these square ones right here. We're going to preset these inside of the winch. There are slots in there on the bottom for that, and I'm just going to pick this up. And the reason those nuts are square is because we won't need a wrench on the other side, or we wouldn't even have access anyway. And I hope you can see that. So you see these little slots right here? We're just going to set them off up in there. Like that. That's basically it. There's 4 of them. So you just preset those off in each one of those. 3. That's number 4. Push them all the way back in there, as far back as you can. And gently pick it up and set it down, because you don't want them to slip out of that space. So when you go underneath, they are somewhat lined up. And then you want to set this on top of the 4 holes on top of your bumper. All right. All right, this is a view from underneath. As you can see one of the holes. And so I'm just going to move the winch to get that lined up a little better. You can see that moving. Now that that's lined up, I'm going to take one of my bolts. I'm going to put a washer on it. I'm going to put first I'm going to put on a lock washer, and then I'm going to put on a washer. See that set up there. And all right, I got all 4 in. Now it's time to tighten these up. And torque them down really good, okay? All 4. So I moved us into the garage. I'm keeping the garage open for now to get as much light as I can, because it started snowing here, which is surprising. And so now we're going to be working from inside the garage. We've mounted the winch, and so now we need to run the electricals. So first, before doing the power box on the top, the control power box on top, we're going to mount the big cables, the big power cable to the battery, and the big power cable to the battery positive and to the battery negative. All right. Alright, so where you route yours is up to you, but right now I'm going to be routing the negative cable right here. So it needs to go to this terminal right here, this terminal, because it's marked with black. And so I'm probably going to fish it up underneath the grill. I was debating about taking the grill off, but I don't think I need to. And I'm most likely going to fish it up through here. I see there's a bit of an opening up in there, so I'm going to fish it up through there, bring it back here to the negative side of the cable and connect it there. So that's my plan. Let's see if that works. Alright, so let me take my cable here and see how this works out. We'll straighten it out first. Get as much of the spiraling out of there as possible. Can see that or not. Let's see if I can rotate you guys down a bit. There we go. Here's the cable here. So it's going to come out down here, which will allow for me to hang it up. So, and that gives me just enough cable to route it around here to the negative side. So, I think that's good. And some channels down here. So I am going to route it down. I'll bring you over and let you see. So this is where I'm at right now. You see that? that right there? I think I should be able to follow that same routing right there. Route it right up underneath here if there's enough room. It's gonna be tight, but I think I can do it. I should be able to just route it right through there. You see what I'm saying? Now let me bring the cable back, and if everything goes right, I should be able to just route it up in there all the way back. At least bring it out here just for a cleaner looking install. So I'm gonna try to see if I can do that. If not, I'll be going along the top. All right, so I wasn't able to route that through there. I think I could if I put enough time into it, but I'll try that again at a later date. Right now, I'm going to now take the power box so that I can route the main cable right here, the power cable. I'm not going to hook it up yet. I'm just going to route it. So I'm just going to set this over to the side over here so I'll drop it. And then I'm going to route the red cable along the same path that I did with the black cable. Down through here, straighten the cable out. Or that same path. Set the box up on top. So that's how I want to make sure I got lengthwise enough of the red cable to go from where it needs to be mounted on top of the winch, so that the cable can make it all the way back to the battery. So that's what I'm about to do next. Back, so I'm going to have to figure out what's the best way to attack that to actually tighten down the screws so this can't come off. I think it would be better for it to be in front. Of course, I can turn this around, but then the cable will be coming out in front of that. That would be horrible. Aesthetic standpoint. So my red cable is going to push underneath. Now come out at the top over here. We'll see how we can get that to connect up. Just trying to make sure you guys can have some nice bright light. Enough to make that run. I would like to run further underneath, and in the end I'm most likely going to do that. But as you can see, I got enough cable to make it all the way to the battery. So that was important. Now I'm not going to connect either one of those up yet. I don't want power to be delivered to the unit at this point in time. We have other things we have to hook up. Alright, so now we're going to start the hookup of the short cables from the power box directly up to the winch. And these are just 13 millimeters, and I think they should initially come not really needing a wrench or a socket. Should be able to just take those off. There's going to be a nut, a washer, and a lock washer on each one. Now I know we still have to do the connection at the bottom too, and we'll get to that. I originally thought maybe I should connect those up before bolting this down, but after I had it sitting on there, I saw that there's really enough room to be able to do that. Not a lot of room, but enough room to do it. And since it's a negative cable, that makes it easier from a spark perspective. Let's see here. So now we're going to need our yellow, our red, and our black. So here's our yellow. I can actually take this back off for a moment just to make sure to get the cables around here on the side that as we need it. And then I can set that back on there. And so now I can put the red on there, the black around, put the black on. Set this one out of the way. We don't need that yet. I guess it wants to stay over here, so I'll just route it in the direction it needs to go anyway. And I need my yellow one. They're heavy cables, so you don't just move how you may want them to move. There we go. I think that's how I want it. I would like for this yellow to be the route more along between here and come here, but lengthwise, you don't have enough length for all of your big wish list. I think that the most I may get something like that. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a little NTCs on there, and then we can put the bolts back on. I'll put the nuts back on, that is. So I'm going to put little NTCs on each one of these. All right. Now I'll put a nut on. A washer on, a lock washer, and a nut on each one. Washer, lock washer, and a nut. And for the third one, washer, lock washer, and a nut. And I'm gonna clean up some of this any seeds off my fingers. As you guys know, that stuff is gets everywhere. A little dab will completely cover everything you're trying to do. And now I'm gonna tighten these down. Now, in the end, what I'm planning on I always think about things as I'm doing it, but in the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get here. So what I have here is this right here. I'm going to use this under my hood on some of my heater hoses. All right. This really just covers up the black hoses, or changes to whatever color you want. So I wanted to go, orange on some of them. And I won't do orange out here. I think that would just stand out too much. But I may get some similar of this right here. This is some adjustable braided hose, if you want to call it. And so it'll slip on over these right here, and I'll do it in black so that this yellow and red don't stand out so much. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'll probably cover those up with some of this in black. All right, so now that we have those attached, now we want to do the black ground underneath, and that would also include the smaller gauge black ground as well. All right, so now we're going to connect up the ground wire underneath here. And as you can see, there is a nut on here, and so you should be able to take that off by hand. So I suggest you have an open end wrench for that, to when it's time to tighten it on. So as you can see, there is enough room. As you probably see why I haven't hooked up any of the power cables straight to the battery yet, because we don't want any power over here, although we're talking about the ground wire at this point. So now I'm going to fish the ground wire through. And remember, we have two ground wires we want to deal with. The lower gauge one, I'll slide those out of the way. All right. We want to take that and slip that on. So you can see that one is on now, right? All right. And now we want to take the heavier gauge one. This is the one that will go straight to the battery. And we're going to slip this one on. Like so. All right. And now that we have those on, now it's just going to be a little dance here to get each one of these on there. But it is doable. Just take your time. Put the washer on first. Now I'm doing the lock washer. All right, I think I got that on. And now I need to move it up enough to get the bolt, the nut on. This is going to be more difficult because all of that wants to push off while I'm trying to get the nut on. And then the nut, of course, wants to slip all over the place outside of my reach. It may take a couple of tries, maybe more than a couple, but we'll see. Almost had her. All right, so it's right there. So now I just need to be able to turn it, and let me see if I can get it somewhat straight. So at least be able to get a thread or two on there. cross thread this puppy. Now, if I have my screwdriver, that would help, but I don't, and I can't reach it. All right, so I got the bolt on, the nut on. I still have to tighten it. Took a little bit of wrangling. My suggestion would be to go ahead and do this connection prior to mounting this onto the car, okay? So that would be my suggestion. It would make it a ton easier. That was just way more work than it needed to be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten this down, and then we'll do some more of the connections. All right. All right, so now we're at the point where we're going to install the fair lead that came with the kit. It's going to mount right up here. You should have received 2 shorter bolts with 2 large washers, 2 large locking nuts, and also 2 large bolts. Locking nut, bolt, and locking washer, washer and bolt and nut. So we're going to put that in. I'm going to take the washer with the bolt, and we're just going to stick it in on one part, and then I'm going to stick that in into one of the holes. And then I'm going to put the locking washer on the back end, and then I'm going to take the nut and put that on. And this is one of those things that most likely would have been easier had I done it prior to mounting this, but as you can see, it's not that big of a deal. And now I'm just going to do the other side as well. Take a washer with the nut and put it in, put the locking washer on the back end, and take a nut and put it on. And so there we go. And now we're going to take, I have a 3/4 inch open end here, and I have my 19 millimeter socket. This is the setup I'm using because I only have one 19 millimeter. So I'm going to put these, the 3/4 on the back, and now I'm going to go in. Oops. Like I may need, starting to cut that up too. This may be too thick to get up in there. Look at that. It can't even get up in there. Okay, let me see what else I got, okay? Give me a second. Alright, so that caught me off guard. The 19 millimeter that I was using was just, the wall was just too thick for that, and all of mine was, but I did find one old cheap one that I had laying around. Well, all of my tools are cheap when to be honest. But the wall is apparently small enough. So this is a 19 millimeter, and it does fit in there unlike my others. And so now I can go ahead and tighten it down. All right. Oh, my wrench now isn't in the best spot. Let me bring that up. And now I'll tighten it up. All right. And then I'll do the other side. The snow is really picking up out here. All right, so now the fair lead is attached. And most likely I'll end up painting these black as well. So now we're at that point. Now we're going to move over to connecting up the power connections to the battery. All right, so what we've done so far, we've connected all the all the cables to the winch itself, so we don't have any free cables just laying around over there, power cables. So now we have the positive and the negative side ran through and sitting over here ready for us to connect up. So we're going to connect these over to the battery. I'll move you guys over into a better spot. And hopefully that will help you guys be able to see better. And this should be a 10 millimeter right here. I'll connect the positive side up first. And this one up here, closer to the post, is tapered going in there to help tighten us up against the post. So I wouldn't use that one over there as my connection. I could use one of these. I do have now a 6-gang power switch box inside, and there's the other part of the unit over there for that. I installed this earlier, but I haven't connected up all my wires for my lights. So you see some of these over here. Yeah, so I'm going to be removing these eventually before the springtime comes and running all these switches, all these wires to my switch pod on the inside. But for now, I'm going to need that. It's going to be on here, and I'm going to connect this up. So I'll just grab the one. Making sure not to drop my cable, my 10 millimeter nut. This up in there. Now I'm going to put the nut on top. I'll just stick my random wire, probably for my pod lights. But I'll connect that all up properly before the summertime. I saw those dual battery kits that you can put up in here right in the same spot as your single battery, and it's pretty cool because really you're just taking this out and you're orientating the battery instead of in this more of a into this position, but more just switching it in the other direction, the lengthwise, and then you're able to get two in there and run everything. So. But that kit's like 500, close to about $600 in the end. And I don't think that includes the other battery either. And, well, anyway, back to what I'm doing here. Now I'm going to do the negative battery. Take the negative side, run it up on there. And now at this point right here, we should have actually a working winch. We got full power going to it now. So we have that up in there. So now we're going to move on to the winch and see how this thing works, okay? All right, so what we have over here, this switch right here, is to be able to basically release the clutch so that you can pull the cable out. Right now, you can't pull the cable out by hand. But if you turn this to the out section, now you can just pull out some excess cable, okay? So that's what we want to do now, to be able to attach up our hookup onto it. And of course, like I said before, this thing will probably turn to have a nice rust patina on it really quick. After just a little bit of moisture, probably a humid day, will probably turn this to a rusty patina. So I'm going to be painting this a nice black color. All right, so now we're going to take this right here, take the cotter pin out. We're about to attach it onto the rope. So now the cotter pin is out. Take this pin out here, like that, and we can take our rope. Remember to take your rope through the through your fair lead up there. Put this in. Put the cotter pack in. Cotter pin back in. Need my needle nose to make this a little easier. We'll just bite it down a little bit here. There we go. I'll spread that back out a little bit so that it doesn't fall out. It's not the, I would say the most best cotter pin, so I can foresee myself putting a much heavier duty one on there than that one there. And so now I'm going to engage the clutch back in. So now that engage is back in, I'm going to start her up, and we're going to take this right here, if you're able to see that, and plug it in right here. So we'll take the remote, this is the remote here, and we're going to plug it in. Alright, so it's plugged in right there. I'm going to start the Jeep up, because this thing, I'm sure, takes a lot of power, so I don't want to run it just strictly off the battery like that. Alright, let's see how she works. And I'm going to go out first. Nice. I heard the motor was loud, but actually it's not bad at all. At least in my opinion. Alright. Not bad at all. So now I'm going to take her out here, and I will take it out a little bit. Pick it up over here. Such, and there we go. Not bad at all. I can take the this back off, close it up. What I still need to do, I need to tighten up the two bolt nuts back, screws back here, to make sure that this is tightened down. But other than that, I call it a wrap. Remember to hit the subscribe button over there. And because I'm doing a lot of things on my Jeep. Last thing I just did there is, you can see with the cover, I painted it the same color. Looks pretty nice. You can see my power box over here for the switches, for the switches to turn the lights on. I got a YouTube for that out there as well. So hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys for watching.